welcome to the deep dive.
Ugh.
So you've given us this really interesting collection of insights, almost like a blueprint for business success.
Yeah.
And you're looking for the essentials, right? How to understand it all without getting totally overwhelmed.
Exactly.
And that's what we're aiming for today, pulling out the really crucial bits for entrepreneurs, covering everything from, the core ideas to managing tech subcontractors, IP,
Yeah.
the works. Our goal is to leave you feeling informed, but also ready to act, maybe with a few aha moments thrown in.
Absolutely. And it's a fantastic set of materials you've shared. It touches on, well, pretty much everything, from why you're even starting right down to the legal details.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, I think, is seeing how these different pieces, they actually fit together. They're not separate silos.
Right.
So yeah, our mission here is to pull out those key takeaways, show some connections you might not expect, and basically give you a clearer path for building and growing a business without drowning in information.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Core fundamentals. These are the things that, every successful business seems to build on. The sources really hammer home knowing your why, that deeper purpose. It's not just about making money. Think Airbnb, right? They didn't just want to rent rooms. They saw this problem. Travel was expensive, impersonal.
Yeah, finding a real pain point.
Exactly. And they offered this connection, unique places, affordable stays. So for you listening, what's the real takeaway about having that strong why?
Well, the main thing is your why isn't just some nice-to-have mission statement on the wall. It's like the engine.
Okay.
It guides your decisions. It pulls in the right customers, the ones who actually believe what you believe. And honestly, it helps you push through when things get tough.
Right.
So that advice about crafting a one-sentence mission and testing it, that's really about checking if your core reason for being actually lands with people. If it doesn't resonate, maybe you need to rethink things.
That makes a lot of sense. And flowing right from the why is the who, understanding your market. Our sources are pretty blunt. Deep market research isn't optional.
Not at all.
You need to know demographics, psychographics, like what makes them tick,
Yeah.
how do they buy, and even digging into competitors. What are their strengths, weaknesses? It feels like detective work.
It really is. It's non-negotiable digging. And what's often gold is finding those unmet needs, the gaps where competitors aren't quite hitting the mark.
Yeah, opportunities.
Exactly. And keeping tabs on industry reports. Think of that as your radar, spotting shifts before they happen. So using tools like Google Trends or surveys, creating those customer personas. It's not just busy work. It makes the data real. It gives your ideal customer a face.
Right. So it's not just about the product itself, but the solution it provides. The Apple example is perfect. You're not just buying a phone.
No, you're buying status, simplicity, innovation,
Yeah.
the whole package.
So how do we, as entrepreneurs, make that shift from focusing on features to delivering, real value?
I think the key is empathy. Really putting yourself in your customer's shoes. What are their struggles? What do they actually desire? Mapping out their journey, like from the moment they feel a need all the way through using your product and beyond, that forces you to see where you actually create value. It's saving time, building confidence, solving that specific problem. It moves you beyond just listing features.
Okay, next fundamental. This one probably hits home for everyone. Cash flow is king.
Oh, yeah, the big one.
You can look profitable, but if the cash isn't there to pay the bills,
Yeah.
you're sunk. The sources say monitor inflows and outflows weekly. That sounds intense. Is it really necessary?
It might sound intense, but look, so many businesses that look good on paper fail because of cash flow. It's often that lag, between doing the work and getting paid.
Right, the timing difference.
Exactly. Weekly monitoring gives you that real-time pulse. You spot the shortfalls before they become crises. And that suggestion of a 3 to 6 month cash reserve, that's your safety net, your breathing room for the unexpected bumps.
Got it. And the last core fundamental here, the business model. Basically how you make money. Examples like subscriptions, e-commerce, freemium. How do you pick the right one? Why is it so critical?
Well, your business model is your engine for making money, plain and simple. And it has to fit your market. What will your customers pay for and how? But just as important is scalability. Can this model grow with you without costs spiraling out of control? Using something like the business model canvas is a great way to map it all out. Revenue streams, costs, value. See if it actually works on paper and if it can scale.
Okay, great foundation. Let's shift now to financial intelligence. This can be intimidating, but the sources break it down well. First, budgeting and forecasting. Making a financial plan, looking ahead. Why is that so vital, especially early on?
What's key here is that budgeting and forecasting aren't just about looking back at what you spent, they're about looking forward.
Okay.
A budget controls your current spending. Forecasting, maybe 6-12 months out, lets you see potential cash gaps before you hit them.
Anticipating problems.
Exactly. And the crucial bit is the review. Look at your actuals versus your plan every month and adjust. It's a living process.
And then know your numbers. This section throws out terms like gross margin, burn rate, CAC, LTV, ROI. Break them. Sounds complex. Can you give us the quick, practical why for these?
Think of them as your business's dashboard lights. Gross margin, that's the profit on what you sell, before overheads. Burn rate often means net burn, how quickly you're spending cash beyond what you're earning.
Especially for startups.
Right. CME is customer acquisition cost, what you spend to get one customer. LTV is lifetime value, how much revenue they bring over time. ROI is return on investment, or your investment's paying off. And breakdown is, well, when you finally stop losing money, seeing these visually helps you grasp the health of the business fast.
Super important. Okay, next point.
Yeah.
Separating personal and business finances. We kind of know we should do this, but why is it so strongly emphasized?
The risks are just too high if you mix them. It messes up your accounting, makes taxes a nightmare.
Right.
And crucially, it can put your personal assets, your house, your savings at risk if the business gets sued. So opening that separate business bank account, getting a business credit card, it's not just neat bookkeeping. It's legal and financial protection. Good accounting software ties it all together.
Makes sense. Now this one's interesting. Pricing isn't about cost. Our gut might say price based on cost plus a bit of profit. But the sources say think value, market position, competition. Like Rolex, pricing for exclusivity. How do you figure out the right price then?
Yeah, pricing sends a message about your brand. It's strategic. A/B testing different prices is one way to see what the market accepts.
Okay.
But the real leverage is often in value-based pricing, price based on the outcome or benefit for the customer. If you can show that value clearly, you can often charge way more than just your cost would suggest.
And the final bit of financial intelligence. Maybe the least exciting, but most essential, tax and compliance. Not optional, serious consequences if you mess up. What's a good starting point for entrepreneurs feeling overwhelmed by this?
First step, acknowledge you probably need help. Don't try to wing it.
Right.
Understand your obligations, income tax, sales tax, payroll if you have staff. Hiring a good accountant or using solid tax software takes a huge weight off and reduces error risk. And simple things like setting calendar reminders for deadlines, honestly, they work.
Okay, shifting gears again. Startup and growth strategy. Taking ideas and making them real. First up, MVP first, then scale. Minimum viable product. Launching basic to test the waters. Dropbox starting simple is a great example. What's the core wisdom here?
It's all about reducing risk. Instead of building the Taj Mahal based on guesses, you build a functional shed first.
Oh, okay.
You launch that basic version, get real feedback from real users, and see if your core idea actually works. It saves time, money, and potentially building something nobody wants. Find that one core problem, launch a simple fix to a small group, learn, iterate.
Makes total sense. But even the best MVP needs eyeballs. Marketing is not optional. The sources list SEO, social media, content, referrals. It sounds like a lot, especially with no budget. Where does a startup even start?
Yeah, it can feel like you need to be everywhere. But start where your ideal customer hangs out online. Is it LinkedIn, TikTok, Google searches?
Okay.
Exactly. SEO is great for long-term organic reach. Targeted ads on social media can work well if you know your audience. Creating genuinely useful content, blogs, videos builds trust. And never underestimate happy early customers spreading the word. Just make sure you track what works using something like Google Analytics. Don't just spray and pray.
And then sales. The sources call it a skill. It needs
Got it.
confidence, empathy, persistence.
Yeah.
What if you're a founder who thinks, ugh, I'm not a salesperson?
Look, the most important thing is truly believing in what you offer and focusing on the customer's problem, not just your product. Selling isn't about being slick or pushy. It's about clearly showing how you solve their pain. Practice your pitch so it sounds natural, not robotic. Use a CRM, even a simple one, to keep track of conversations and follow up. It's about building relationships.
Makes sense. Beyond the product, there's the brand. Building trust, loyalty. Patagonia's environmental stance is a powerful example. How does a new company start building a strong brand from day one?
It starts with clarity. What do you stand for? What's your personality? Then consistency. Develop a style guide, logo, colors, fonts, the tone of your writing. Use it everywhere. Website, emails, social media. It's about creating a recognizable, authentic identity that connects with the right people and builds that trust over time.
And rounding out startup and growth. Customer experience, growth. Happy customers stick around and tell others. Sounds obvious, but how do you do it well from the start?
It's about making every touch point positive. Be quick to respond, be genuinely helpful, ask for feedback, and act on it. Using support tools helps manage inquiries. Measuring satisfaction with something like Net Promoter Score or NPS gives you hard data on how you're doing. Remember, great CX isn't just damage control. It's about creating fans who champion your business.
All right, let's move into mindset and operations. The stuff that makes the engine run smoothly. First, your team is your power. Hiring people who fit the vision, building a strong culture, key things for founders building that initial team.
Well, the sources stress hiring for complementary skills. You don't need clones of yourself.
Right.
But maybe even more important is alignment on vision and values. Does this person really get what you're trying to build? A strong, positive culture fuels everything: productivity, innovation, keeping good people. So use structured interviews to check for that cultural fit and deal with toxic behavior fast. It spreads.
Good advice. Next, a potentially scary one. Legal first, not last. The Snapchat story is mentioned as a cautionary tale. What are the absolute must-haves legally right at the start?
You've got to protect the business early. Clear contracts with co-founders, early hires, any contractors. Definitely trademark your brand name and logo. Use NDAs when sharing sensitive info. And crucially, make sure IP ownership is clear, especially with freelancers building stuff for you. Work for hire agreements are key there. Talking to a lawyer early. Yes, it costs money, but it can save you catastrophic amounts later.
Definitely. Startups rarely go exactly to plan. Fail fast, learn faster. Viewing mistakes as data points. How do you actually do that?
Yeah.
How do you learn from failures without getting discouraged?
It's a mindset shift. Failure isn't the end, it's feedback. The key is having a process to analyze why something failed. A postmortem.
Okay.
What were the assumptions? What went wrong? What did we learn? Document it, share it. Then, crucially, pivot based on that learning. Don't just stubbornly stick to a failing plan. That agility is vital.
Time. Always feels like there's never enough. Time is a currency. Focus on high-impact stuff. Delegate or automate the rest. Easier said than done, though, right? Practical tips.
The tools mentioned are great starting points. Task management like Asana or Trello to prioritize. Automation tools like Zapier for repetitive stuff. And time blocking, actually scheduling chunks of time for your most important work that can be a game changer for focus and productivity. Treat your time like the valuable resource it is.
And last one in this section, balancing the big picture with the day-to-day. Think long-term, act short-term. Amazon's customer focus is the example. How do you keep that long view while fighting daily fires?
It's about having that North Star, your 3 to 5 year vision.
Yeah.
But then breaking it down. What needs to happen this quarter? What are the key actions this week?
Got it.
A roadmap helps visualize the journey. But the daily execution, tackling things with urgency, that's what builds momentum towards the bigger goals. It's a constant zoom in, zoom out.
Okay, now we get into some specifics from the sources. First, 20 essential things about subcontractors in the tech industry. Super relevant now. What's unique about working with, say, remote tech contractors?
Oh, in tech, clarity is paramount. Your scope of work, or SOW, has to be incredibly detailed. Deliverables, timelines, tech stack. Leave no room for ambiguity.
Right.
A bulletproof contract is essential, covering IP, who owns the code, NDAs, payment terms, how you can terminate, all that. And with remote teams, communication routines are vital. Slack, Trello, daily stand-ups, whatever works. Milestone payments are smart, reduces your risk. And do your homework vetting their actual technical skills beforehand. Don't just take their word for it.
That list also covers things like code standards, testing responsibility, the legal difference between contractors and employees. Sounds like it needs real structure.
Totally. You need to watch for red flags, vague updates, missed deadlines. Don't become overly dependent on one person. Plan for handover if they leave. Keep the core technical strategy in-house. Review progress regularly. Use version control like Git. Manage their access securely. And, honestly, be transparent about the project goals. Context helps them deliver better work.
Next list. 20 essential things every startup founder should know. This feels like a crash course in startup reality. Key takeaways for someone starting out.
Okay, several big ones jump out. Validate your idea first. Talk to users before you build anything.
Crucial.
Solve a painful problem, not just a nice to have. Build that minimum viable product MVP. Get it out there. Learn. Know your market inside out.
Right.
And don't get too precious about your initial idea. Execution beats ideas every time. Choose your co-founders very carefully. And remember, time is your scarcest resource. Prioritize like crazy.
The list also hits on talking to users constantly, iterating, learning to pitch, basic finance, building a community, keeping tech simple early on.
Exactly. Launch fast, get known. Focus on metrics that actually matter. Activation, retention, revenue. Get your legal ducks in a row from day one.
Right.
Maybe bootstrap longer than you think. Build resilience. It's going to be tough. Network with other founders. They get it. Have a vision, sure, but be ready to adapt based on what the market tells you.
Moving on to 20 essential things about intellectual property, IP.
Yeah.
Protecting your creations, getting that edge. What are the absolute basics entrepreneurs need to grasp here?
Okay, IP 101. It protects your intangible stuff, inventions, brand, creative work. 4 main types are mentioned: patents for inventions, trademarks for brand identity, logos, names, copyrights for creative works, code, music, writing, and trade secrets for confidential know-how, like a recipe.
Got it.
Key message: register early where you can. Protection isn't automatic or global. Usually it's often country by country. You can license your IP out. Open source doesn't mean free for all. Check the licenses. And be crystal clear on IP ownership with employees and contractors.
The list also gives practical tips. Use NDAs smartly, work for hire agreements are key for contractors, watch out for infringing on others' IP. Domain names aren't trademarks, use and correctly.
Yeah, all good practical stuff. Don't spill the beans publicly before patenting. A provisional patent gives you a year's grace. Strong IP boosts valuation. And honestly, IP law is complex. Talk to an IP lawyer. Don't guess.
Okay, next, 20 things you need to know about business management. Running the show effectively. What are the big themes here?
This list really brings it back to people. Management is about leading, motivating, developing your team.
Right.
Clear vision provides direction. Set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Delegate effectively, don't micromanage. Communication is absolutely key. Track performance with KPIs or OKRs. Hire for attitude, not just skills. Lead by example, walk the talk. Give feedback regularly. Learn to handle conflict constructively. Understand the finances, cash flow, margins. Build efficient systems. Be adaptable.
It also covers time management, building a positive culture, using tech, continuous learning.
Yes, all essential. Knowing when to say no to stay focused, protecting mental health, your teams, and your own, and planning for the long haul, even thinking about succession down the line. It's about building something sustainable.
Now for something many dread. 20 things you need to know about public speaking. Pitching, presenting, unavoidable for founders. Key tips.
Know your audience is number 1. Tailor your message. Start strong, grab attention immediately. Have one clear takeaway message. Structure matters. Intro, key points, conclusion.
Practice.
Practice out loud, not just in your head. Internalize your points. Don't memorize word for word. Use stories. Examples make it relatable. Be authentic. Be yourself. Watch your body language. Vary your voice pitch, pace, volume.
The list also mentions using visuals wisely, preparing for Q&A, starting small, maybe with groups like Toastmasters, handling nerves.
Right. Deep breaths work. Engage the audience. Ask questions. Don't apologize if you stumble. Just keep going. Record yourself to spot weird habits. Time yourself. Respect the limits. Get honest feedback. And the big one, the more you do it, the less scary it becomes and the better you get. Practice, practice, practice.
Okay, our final deep dive. 20 essential things you need to know about law. Can feel like a minefield. Critical legal points for new business.
Number 1 rule: ignorance is no excuse. You have to understand the basics. Know the different types of law affecting you: contracts, IP, employment, tax. Contracts are binding, even verbal ones sometimes, but get it in writing. Choose the right legal structure: LLC, corporation for liability protection. Protect your IP trademarks, copyrights. Use NDAs and IP agreements. Comply with employment law, wages, discrimination, safety. Pay your taxes. It's a legal requirement. Get real legal advice from a lawyer, not just Google searches. Your website probably needs a privacy policy, GDPR, CCPA, things like that. Understand consumer protection laws. Define roles clearly in employment contracts. Know about mediation or arbitration for disputes.
The list also mentions legal precedent, the Constitution, data protection, reading what you sign.
Yeah, all critical. You're liable for contracts you sign, read them. Use legal tools early in corporation, IP protection. And think of law proactively. It's about preventing problems, not just reacting to them. Build that solid legal foundation.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot. A really comprehensive tour through so much essential business knowledge. It's amazing how it all links together, isn't it? From that core why right through to the legal details.
Absolutely. And seeing it laid out like this really shows how you can't just focus on one area. Neglecting finance hurts marketing. Ignoring legal undermines everything. They all feed into each other for a healthy business.
So for you listening, as you kind of process all of this, maybe think about this. Which one area feels like the biggest opportunity for you right now? Or maybe where's the biggest potential risk if you don't address it soon?
Hmm.
What's the one insight or action step from this whole deep dive that really hits home for your specific situation or where you want to go next?
That's really the key question, isn't it? We've covered a huge amount of ground. Hopefully, it sparks some concrete ideas, maybe some things to follow up on. We really encourage you to reflect on that, what applies most directly to you, and keep exploring. Building a business is definitely an ongoing learning journey.